Welcome back to the weekly news roundup and the SillyVille edition. I do have to give you a warning. Today is a little bit more political than I like the show to be, but all of the craziness going on in the world seems to be dividing among political lines right now, and so, hey, there we must go. There are a few non-political things, but not nearly as much as I would like. So just a warning, this is a little bit different from what I usually do. And I'll tell you from the outset, I'm a centrist who tends to lean right on many issues and left on a few issues. I'm not a right-wing death squad boogaloo skinhead whatever. I'm not. I was accused of being that once. I don't know. But anyway, before we dive on in, you can have a look at our affiliates page, switchedtolinux.com/affiliates. We have Amazon, we have phones, we have grammar checkers, we have web hosts, VPNs, and podcasting things, and stuff like that. Let's go ahead and dive on into the SillyVille news, shall we? All right, first and foremost, Joe Biden releases his $2 trillion plan for climate change, which calls for jail sentences for people who pollute things too much. Now, no, this isn't you and driving down the road in your little car and you accidentally, you're driving down the car and you're eating a Three Musketeers bar and all of a sudden the wind catches it and blows it out. You're not at risk of going to jail for that, all right? I know some people might be trying to push that, that's what the plan says. This mostly is targeting, your big corporates where you have a lot of things going on. I gotta find it. It's hard to find the line where it's talking about jails. So let me see if I can find it. There we go. All right, so it says down here regarding the jail portion, it would include establishment of a new division inside the Department of Justice expressly devoted to pursuing criminal environmental prosecutions for polluters. That, though, does sound a little terrifying because that's an government expandable program. To quote, the fullest extent permitted by law and, when we need it, seek additional legislation to make the law worse. To hold corporate executives personally accountable, that includes jail time where merited. Is what he says. He's kind of talking about, getting everybody on board, investing in everything. He's going to save the world with $2 trillion, I guess. But, that's kind of where our world happens to get. All right, well, if you're a good old supporter of BLM and you use Apple devices, you type BLM, you're going to get the hand fist recommended. Guys, BLM is not about Black lives. It's about communism and Marxism. Just an FYI, this symbol here is a symbol of hate. Okay? It's a Marxist symbol. It's a Marxist group at its core. And if you don't believe me, you can go on over to their website, blacklivesmatter.org, and read their website. I know, I read it. They are more for the destruction of the nuclear family. They're for a lot of things that expands way beyond their anger at white people for hurting black people. And frankly, in the midst of all of their crazy protests, a whole lot of black people lost a whole lot of things under the guise of Black Lives Matter. And so that's that. But anyway, Apple is coming in. If you type in Black Lives Matter or you type in BLM, you will get the emoji hand fist recommended to you. I feel really sorry for the government, what are the geographers working for the government who have to map the BLM lands. Oh, Lord. I used to live out west where there's a lot of BLM lands. They're like, BLM, why does it keep on giving me a fist every time I type in BLM for my phone? It's invading the back roads of Wyoming and Nevada and Arizona, all right? But anyway, iOS keyboard now supplies that as a solution if you're typing that in because, they got to do it. They got to do it. All right, on to saving the environment. I did torture people last night with playing this commercial. I will not torture you again. You can go ahead and find it. Basically, this yodeling cowboy kid here starts singing about cow farts and how we're all going to die because of cow farts. Well, it turns out that a whole lot of scientists and other people are basically saying this is not only is this rubbish, but it's also dangerous and based on science that is not even near completion. So this guy here, Frank Medelliner, It's not the cow farts. Nearly all enteric methane from cattle is from belching. Suggesting otherwise turns this serious climate topic into a joke. Reducing methane is a huge opportunity. That should be a goal, but we shouldn't trivialize it for trendy marketing. Cows menu, I guess. Of course, there's CNN. At CNN, Burger King is improvising its cow's low-carb diet. The cow now has a low-carb diet. That's new. By adding 100 grams of lemongrass to reduce the methane emissions, one of the key contributors to climate change, according to CNN, who doesn't... Never mind. National Academy of Beef Association, a lobby group. Oh, Lord, now we got the lobbyists in on this. They're, of course, mad. We've spoken out about the belching issue, says Burger King was trying to score easy points with consumers by launching a misleading public relations campaign. Burger King says it wants to shine light on an issue that's more important to business and industry. You know, this is the same group that when people were literally assaulting people by throwing milkshakes at them, which is assault. That's a jailable offense. Throwing an object at a person is called assault. In the midst of people doing all this, Burger King comes out, selling milkshakes all weekend, just saying. That's why I stopped buying things at Burger King. Sorry, Burger King, you've lost me as a customer. You've gone pander, woke, insane, which is very sad because I like Burger King's food. But I'm sorry, if I want a flame-broiled burger, I'm going to Wendy's. If I can find one that BLM hasn't burnt to the ground. All right. So the majority of the conversation around this announcement has been overwhelmingly positive. It's what the Burger King PR guy says. Focus on climate change. The ad was released as part of an announcement by Burger King and restaurant owner Restaurant Brands International. Burger King has been under pressure the last years as consumers increasingly look to reduce their beef consumption due to concerns about their health and dietary. Guys, let me clear something up for you. There is no health consequence of eating meat. There's a couple big studies like, oh my God, meat kills you. They lumped in like eating a steak with eating highly processed things like bologna, which are not necessarily meat, just an FYI. If you actually dig into the medical research on those, eating standard regular meat, your cow, your beef, your chicken, your hamburgers is perfectly fine. There's no real health consequences of that. It's just when you take it and divide it into basically produce a mush and mix it together with a lot of chemicals, that is what produces a lot of the health potential health issues with it. As far as climate impact, yeah, I don't know. This angry farmer here seems to suggest otherwise, but anyway. So yeah, all of these guys are kind of mad at it. This person from the Farm Babe, I don't know who the Farm Babe is, but you know, hey baby, what you doing? Says, fire your marketing team at Burger King. You've lost my business, and everyone else responding to your disgusting, ludicrous ad. Yeah, they lost my business well before this, honestly. When Burger King starts promoting a physical assault, I'm going to stop buying products from them. So, you know. All right. Now, what's so bad about this? Requires a little bit of background. All right. So the Smithsonian actually has a division that is the National Museum of African American History and Culture. So the idea of this is we want to preserve and demonstrate the history of African Americans in this. So, of course, what organization dedicated to such things would be complete without whiteness bashing? And so now I am being targeted based upon the color of my skin. And last time I saw anything about this, that is called racism, because you're making a value judgment on a person based on nothing more than the color of their skin, which, by the way, is a thing that great guys like Martin Luther King Jr. fought to get rid of. And hey, we had that in the country for a long time. The problem is it's kind of going away now. But anyway, they kind of go through this whole talk about race. Now, this actually came out, I think, first launched back in March. Very interesting how this kind of stuff launched in March, just, you know, a little bit before all of these crazy protests and riots around all this other stuff. But as you get through here, it starts talking about white privilege and talks about being white doesn't mean you haven't experienced hardships and oppression. Being white does mean you have not faced hardness based on the color of your skin. Oh no, you're right now demonstrating the hardness that I face based on the color of my skin. Very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So, watch this white privilege and constructing white racial identity. I don't know. Here's the white dominant culture. We got white supremacy. We got, the ideology, white nationalism. So this is what this is. This is a government fund. I believe it's a government funded project, part of the Smithsonian. So this also probably came out about the same time, but it's been trending around social media this week. And before we get into this, I actually want to read something for you. With all of this crazy insanity and the topsy-turviness of the culture, I want to read what somebody wrote over 100 years ago. I'm going to read this, and then I'll tell you what it is after I read it. At any street corner, we may meet a man who utters the frantic and blasphemous statement that he may be wrong. Every day one comes across somebody who says that, of course, his view may not be the right one. Of course, his view must be the right one, or it is not his view. We are on the road to producing a race of men too modest to believe in the multiplication table. We are in danger of seeing philosophers who doubt the law of gravity as being mere fancy of their own. Scoffers of old time were too proud to be convinced, but these are too humble to be convinced. The meek do inherit the earth, but the modern skeptics are too meek to even claim their inheritance. It is exactly this intellectual helplessness that is our second problem. As G.K. Chesterton from the book Orthodoxy. You can actually download a free copy of her over on Gutenberg, where you can grab a lot of free ebooks. What he's writing in here about, this is the postmodern idea before we had the name postmodern to attach to it. Let me read this portion of this again. We are on the road to producing a race of men too modest to believe in the multiplication table. In other words, we're going to cast off education. We're going to cast off science. We're going to cast off logical thought and reality. We are in danger of seeing philosophers who doubt the law of gravity as being a mere fancy of their own. There is no scientific law because I don't believe it. It doesn't matter what science says. I create my own reality. That's what he writes. Scoffers of old time were too proud to be convinced. These are people, these are your grandparents. They're too proud to be convinced of anything. But the new one, you got your parents on one side and your children on the other. But this one, your children, in other words, they're too humble to be convinced. You couldn't possibly convince me of the fact of objective science. I'm sorry. That's the old way of thinking. I'm going to promote my own way. The meek do inherit the earth, but the modern skeptics, they don't even want to claim their inheritance. I want nothing. I want to burn it all to the ground. It is exactly this intellectual helplessness which is our second problem. From G.K. Chesterton, Orthodoxy. This meme has been going around social media this week, and I thought it'd be a good time to talk about it. The aspects and assumptions of whiteness and white culture in the United States. This is from the exact same group that gave us the whiteness problem here. So in other words, as you read through this, it's basically saying the whiteness culture has infected all of us and is a problematic thing. The white dominant culture or whiteness refers to the way white people and their traditions, attitudes, way of life have been normalized over time and are now considered standard practices in the United States. And since white people still hold most of the institutional power in America, we have all internalized some aspects of white culture, including people of color. All right, so we've all adopted the white culture. You can see it's like, ooh, this is bad. We got to cast it off. So what is the white culture? Well, let's have a look at what the white culture is that's so bad. Rugged individualism. The individual is the primary unit. They are self-reliant. Independence and autonomy is highly valued and rewarded. Individuals assumed to be in control of their environment. In other words, we're not a victim. Family structure. The nuclear family, a father, a mother, 2.3 children is the ideal social unit. You do realize that when you take a father out of the home, you increase the possibility that that child is going to be a criminal by like 800%. You want to destroy the nuclear family now because that's just bad. That's white. It's white to have a father in the home. Husband is the breadwinner and the head of the household. Wife is a homemaker and subordinate to the husband. Children should have their own rooms and be independent. Emphasis, this is a good one. Emphasis on scientific method. Remember that multiplication table. Objective, rational, linear thinking. Yes, to be an objective, rational, linear thinker is a problem because it's white. Cause and effect relationships. Yeah. Quantitative emphasis. History. All right, history, this is more genetic, so obviously this one, I don't know. This one's either here or there. Based on Northern European immigrants' experience in the United States, heavily focused on the British Empire and the primacy of Western, Greek, and Roman and Judeo-Christian tradition. Okay, the next one, the work ethic. The Protestant work ethic. Hard work is the key to success. There's a problem with this? Work before play. If you didn't meet your goals, you didn't work hard enough. Religion. Christianity is the norm. Anything other than Judeo-Christian tradition is foreign. No tolerance for deviation from a single God concept. I don't know if this one's necessarily whiteness or if it was just tied into the foundation of the country. I'm not sure. All right, status, power, and authority. Wealth equals worth. Your job is who you are. Respect authority. Well, maybe if more people respected authority, we might not have people in the streets causing a lot of crime and suffering the consequences of it. They have heavy value on ownership of goods, space, and property. Do you guys not see that this is a communist manifesto tightly wrapped up? You have a valueship of goods and space and property. That's bad. Common stuff. Live in the pod house with all your pod people. Time. We follow rigid time schedules and time is viewed as a commodity. I'm sorry if I don't like sitting on the front porch of the house doing nothing all day but sucking on 40s. Future orientation. They plan for the future. God forbid do I plan for the future. I must be white. Delayed gratification. Progress is always the best. Tomorrow will be better. Aesthetics. Based on European culture. Steak and potatoes. Bland is best. I don't know where that came from. Women's beauty based on blonde, thin Barbie. Men's attractiveness based on economic status, power, and intellect. Interesting. Okay. Holidays based on Christian religions. Dude, not even close. If you want to get a primer on this, I actually wrote a book on this. It's called Happy Holidays. You can find it anywhere you can get books. I'll link it below. The holidays that we celebrate have nothing to do with Christian thought. Just saying. Based on white history and male leaders. Interesting. Justice, based on the English common law. Protect property and entitlements. And intent counts. Yeah, intent counts. Yeah, that's the problem. Competition, be number one. Win at all costs. Winner-loser dichotomy. Action orientation, matter and control nature. Must always do something about a situation. Aggressiveness and extroversion. Decision-making, majority rules. When whites have power. If I'm not mistaken, I'm not going to go there. Anyway. Communication, the King's English rules, written tradition for communication, avoid conflict, intimacy, don't show emotion, don't discuss personal life, and be polite. What is so bad about many of these things? These are just the things that make a good human. When I find a successful person, no matter their skin color, no matter their race, no matter their religion, it generally means that, they set goals, they follow rigid time structures, they focus on their work rather than just hanging out. They focus on objective, rational, linear thinking. These are the signs of a successful person. But now you want to paint these as being a bad thing. We got to stop being all these bad things. To do what? Sit on our couches, do nothing all day, and live in the community? What's so wrong about the things on this list? I genuinely want to know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.
Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.